We need to kill a dangerous myth that burnout means you weren't strong enough. That's a lie. Burnout doesn't happen because you're weak, fragile, or not cut out for success. Burnout happens when a toxic system breaks you down, no matter how competent, driven, or resilient you are. And here's another hard truth. The way we talk about resilience is making things worse, not better. If you want to understand why some people bounce back and others disappear, or how to truly help your clients, then you're in the right place. This is exactly for you. If you've ever felt ashamed for feeling exhausted, or shamed for reaching burnout, or if you're a coach who wants to help others move past this shame, then this video is for you. I remember my first burnout back in 2013. I was the youngest HR director in the UK. I was driven, ambitious, always the one to say yes, always the one to fix things, always the one to get stuff done. I prided myself on being the strong one, the problem solver, the one who never ever let anyone down. But the environment was quietly, relentlessly toxic. Every time I spoke up for what was right, I was told, Kelly, you're just too passionate. You need to be a bit more professional. You need to be a bit more corporate. You just need to get on board. Every time I protected my team or I did something to protect the people in the organisation, I was called too emotional. I started working longer hours, thinking that I could outwork the problem. But the more I gave, the more the system demanded. And here's where the resilience myth comes in. Because when I started to struggle, I was told, you just need to be more resilient. So I tried. I doubled down. I read books. I meditated. I did more yoga. I was doing 7 spin classes a week and cycling hundreds of miles on a weekend. Anything to make myself stronger. But it didn't matter. And it didn't matter because the environment stayed toxic until one day my body gave out. I ended up in hospital, not because I was weak, but because I'd been strong for far too long in a place that punished my strengths. And I wasn't just in hospital once. I was being admitted repeatedly for 7 months. And then I had to have 2 operations in 48 hours. And I see this in my clients, the high performers, the perfectionists, the people pleasers. They don't reach burnout because they're weak. They reach burnout because they care, because they give everything, even when the system gives them nothing back. So today, let's bust this myth once and for all. Burnout is not a character flaw. It's a physiological, psychological, neurological response to chronic, unfixable stress. But here's what I see, especially from leaders. They treat resilience like some kind of magic bullet. If you just toughen up, you'll be fine. If you burn out, you just weren't resilient enough. Now, that's not just wrong, it's unethical and it's dangerous. Here's what actually happens. When leaders focus on resilience, they shift responsibility away from the toxic systems and onto the individuals. It becomes a badge of honor to survive rather than a reason to fix what's broken. People are encouraged to bounce back, to be more resilient from environments that are actively harming them. But the science is clear. When you're stuck in a toxic environment, your body's stress system, the HPA axis, that goes into overdrive. Your amygdala, the brain's alarm system, becomes hyperactive. Your executive functions, focus, memory, decision-making, they start to break down. You're not just tired. You're physically, emotionally, mentally dysregulated. A 2023 study from King's College London showed that people experiencing burnout had increased cortisol, changes in brain structure, and impaired emotional regulation. So this isn't about willpower, it's about biology. But the real truth here is that the most driven, conscientious people are the ones that are most at risk, because they'll keep pushing, keep adapting, keep giving until there's nothing left to give. So remember the burnout equation. Toxicity minus sense of self equals burnout. It's not about the hours worked. It's about giving too much of yourself to survive in a toxic system. So let's be clear. Resilience is a great quality when it's about bouncing back from setbacks that aren't chronic or abusive. But when the environment is toxic, telling people to be more resilient is like telling someone to swim harder while you keep adding weights to their ankles. So let's get into some real talk. I've coached over 700 leaders, and many of them have blamed themselves for not being resilient enough. I've seen organisations run resilience workshops and then ignore the bullying, the impossible workloads, and the lack of psychological safety. I've seen clients push themselves until they're physically ill. I've done that myself, all because they thought the problem was them, not the system. And this is why so many survivors of burnout carry so much shame and so much guilt, so much blame. They think if only I'd been stronger, then this would never have happened. And that shame keeps people from seeking help. It keeps them trapped in toxic cycles. As coaches, as leaders, as humans, we have a responsibility to spot this shame, to name it, to reframe it, and to help people see the truth. You did not fail. The system failed you. If you're a coach, then you need to know how to spot these beliefs in your clients. You need the tools to reframe the story from I'm broken to I survived something that no one should have had to endure. That's when real recovery begins. And if you're a leader, your job isn't to make your people tougher, it's to make your environment safer. If you've lived burnout yourself and want to help others without reinforcing this toxic myth, then this is exactly what we train in the Master Burnout Coach program. You'll get all of the neuroscience, the practical tools, and the ethical framework to truly help. The November intake is open. You'll find the link in the description below. And if you want more myth-busting, science-backed truths on burnout, then hit subscribe and join our community here. Let's kill the shame, end the myths, and build a world where no one has to lose themselves to burnout to succeed.